Let's move on now because an illegal asylum seeker has stabbed a man to death and injured 3 policemen in a terrorist attack in France overnight. The Algerian man, who'd been on a terror watch list, yelled Allahu Akbar as he launched the attack.
And as if that's not bad enough, here's the part of the story that should really infuriate people. The French government had tried and failed 10 times to deport this man. The French have every right to be outraged that a man their own government knew full well should not have been in the country has now committed murder. And I know this is a question being asked here as well.
Yeah.
Why does our government seem so cavalier when it comes to national security?
Absolutely, and this is a big topic at the moment, James, because 2 weeks ago we had an Afghani migrant working as a New South Wales nurse boast about killing Jews. And then last week we had the Immigration Minister, Tony Burke, handing out citizenship certificates like Oprah Winfrey. It was you get a citizenship and you get a citizenship. Everybody gets a citizenship.
Well, also last week, a court ruled here that a non-citizen double murderer should be allowed to stay in Australia because he had ties here. And don't forget Anthony Albanese's decision to bring 3,000 Gazans here with barely sufficient security checks after the horror show we witnessed on Thursday in Gaza, where thousands of civilians gloated over the tiny coffins of murdered Israeli children. People with at least 2 firing neurons are wondering what the hell Albanese is thinking bringing Gazans here.
Honestly, this is so... We're at a point now, I think we're at a real crisis point now in this country, James. Firstly, I just want to talk about Burke for a moment with his drive-by citizenship ceremonies. And as I've been calling it, this Oprah Winfrey moment. But what the government is doing here is selling out our values for votes because there's obviously an election around the corner. Yeah. All eyes are on Western Sydney, a number of marginal seats held by Labor MPs, including Tony Burke himself, and they want to shore up support because the Muslim vote are concerned about the way that the government has been handling issues surrounding the war in the Middle East. So here we've got Burke handing out 6,000 citizenships, I believe it is, over 3 days. This is not a coincidence, despite Burke's saying, no, I don't know how these people are going to vote, please. He thinks that we're all a bunch of mugs. I'm worried about the direction we're heading to in this country. We've got people coming in here. We don't know their backgrounds. We know that in terms of the Gazan visas, it was given out to them with little to no security checks. Yeah. We're at a turning point. Sure, I do agree. The majority of migrants here live harmoniously, but we have opened the floodgates, and we have to be honest, to a small minority, some who hate us, some who do hate our values, and some who have no interest in assimilating in this country. And this is where the dangers are. We look at what happened overnight in France. They can't deport this person. And look at what's happened.
Two thoughts occur to me. First, where is the duty of care?
Yeah.
Like if you're a politician and you enact policies where you are bringing in people with scant security checks from the most radicalised place on earth, Gaza, and if something, God forbid, goes wrong, who's responsible for it? The answer is nobody. Or what about these tribunals, the court order I spoke about earlier where they allowed this double murderer to stay in Australia? Yeah. If something goes wrong, where's the duty of care for people? That judge, that tribunal magistrate or whoever made the decision will never be named, never be shamed, never be held responsible. One more thing, we talk a lot about social cohesion. Yeah. If you want social cohesion and a good multicultural society, there's got to be trust. And that means that the citizenry have to trust the government to make wise decisions. If we don't trust them to make good decisions, then don't expect us to be excited about immigration. You can't have it both ways.